Hey there people, so since that other project was a complete bust, I decided to come in the house and do a little bit of a cooking show for you. So what I'm going to make for you now is wicked mega meat chili. So let's get that going. Okay, here's what you're going to need. You're going to need about 3 pounds of meat. I've got half pork, which is my Berkshire pork, which is really good. But any sort of uncured pork is fine. Pork shoulder, something usually pretty cheap. This is cubed beef, like stew beef, and it's fine. Any kind of good stew beef sort of stuff. We've got 1 orange bell pepper here. It can be any color you like, but we happen to have an orange one. Okay, we got 1 teaspoon of kosher salt. We've got 1½ teaspoons of cumin. We've got 1 tablespoon of chili powder. 1 small jalapeno, diced really small. You can leave the seeds in there if you want it to be a little hotter. 3 tablespoons of oil, usually a light oil because that's what I'm going to fry my meat with. And half a can of tomato paste. Also, you're going to need 2 cups of salsa. This is salsa that my wife made and preserved, but you can use any kind of salsa. You're going to need a can of beer, and you're going to need half a bag of tortilla chips. We'll get to that at the end. That's the thickening agent. So take your meat and pour your oil on it. Get it in there. And then get your hands in there after you've washed them, of course. Mix your meat all up with this oil. Then sprinkle this salt over there. Mix it in. Okay, so we've got our, I'm using a pressure cooker, and you don't have to use a pressure cooker, but it just speeds up the job if you've got one. It's a great thing to have for tenderizing meats. So I'm going to cook this in batches because I want to brown it good on the bottom. So I'm going to put in about 1/3 of that. Just spread that out in the bottom there so you can get that all brown. You want to sear this meat before you cook it deep. Okay, so on your last batch of meat, you're really searing that into the pan, as you can see. You're going to add your peppers, not your jalapenos, just your bell peppers. And if you want to add a little bit of onion, now would probably be the time to do it. But this recipe doesn't call for any onion. So once you've got that cooked, seared a little bit also, you're going to add all the rest of your meat that you've taken out as you seared it. So get all that back in there. Okay, so what you want to do now is you want to add your half can of beer. This is a 16, so 8 ounces of beer, or 250 mils. Just pour half of that in there and deglaze the bottom of the pan as you're going. So you're going to get all that good sort of burnt stuff off the bottom. The beer will clean that right off of there. That gets all that sort of seared flavor into your chili. Really work it off of there. And put the remainder of that in there. Not the remainder, but the other half, the half a can of beer. Keep the rest of it for yourself. I like that. Newcastle's pretty good. Then you're going to add all the rest of your ingredients. So put in the rest of your jalapenos. Your tablespoon of chili powder. Teaspoon of cumin, 1½ teaspoons. Your half a can of
tomato paste.
Your half a can of tomato paste. 500 mils of, or 16 ounces of salsa. That right in there. Now here's the crazy part. You're going to take half a bag of tortilla chips. Going to put that in there. It's probably about 3 cups or so. Stir all that around. Stir that all around. Reduce your heat a little bit. Just get that all worked in. I know it looks a little strange, but trust me, that all breaks down and that's what thickens it up real nice. It won't resemble that when it's done. Okay, so now what you're going to do is you're going to get that pressure cooker lid on there. Get that locked on. Like, come on.
It's got to be towards the back.
What are you talking about towards the back here?
Just keep it looking arrow. Find that arrow with this handle and I think it locks. Goes down.
Oh, okay. So you get that on there like that. You know what the hell you're doing. Let that go until it whistles real good, and then turn your heat down so it's just a little whistle, and then just let that simmer. And then let that simmer about 25 minutes. Okay, so that's been 25 minutes now, and what we do is we turn our heat off, and we just remove this from the heat for a while, and just let it cool down before releasing the pressure on it, because the way these pressure cookers are, if you crack this, that steam comes out and it's very high temperature steam. It's a lot hotter than normal. It will burn the hell out of you. And I like to just let it sit for a minute or two, and then I'll take a fork and I'll lift on the safety valve, make sure there's no pressure on it before I release this. Okay, now it's been a couple of minutes. Okay, so it's been a couple of minutes, and there should be no pressure on it, but just to be on the safe side, take a glove and a fork and just lift up on this safety valve and see if any steam comes out the sides. So there's no pressure in there now, so what that would do, that would release the pressure. So now, actually, I like to wear a glove when I crack this anyway, just in case. We're good. Hey, so there you go. It's good to go. Dig in and enjoy it. So if you didn't have a pressure cooker, not a lot of people do, this would basically be about a 3-hour process, but with the pressure cooker it's about 25 minutes or so, half an hour. And definitely speeds things up, saves a lot of energy. And, you might find the meat still just a little tough, but if you just let it sit for half an hour or so, it'll soften up a little more. But let's try it out, see how good it is. Okay, these are the suggested toppings, if you have them. Sour cream, cheddar cheese, some scallion or garden onion, some small cherry tomatoes, and cilantro. And if you want something that's truly Mexican flavored, you have to have the cilantro, in my opinion. So we'll get a little cheese on there so it'll melt. A little bit of cilantro. Some chopped onions. And some little cherry tomatoes. A little blob of sour cream. Then just dig in. Man, that was good. Really good. Really good.